Renoir's Tenderness brings tears. It is hard to imagine that a man later known as the painter of sunshine was once besieged by poverty, illness, failure, and ridicule. However, if you delve into Renoir's life, you'll discover his story is perhaps the most dramatic, inspiring, and fateful chapter of Impressionism. Renoir started working in a porcelain factory at 13, painting little angels on ceramic vases. Not for art, but to feed his family. At that time, he didn't know what art history was, but he was already instinctively painting light and soft colors. He later recalled, "I loved the light of those angels. They made me believe the world wasn't so cold." You see, a poor young boy had already secretly begun to encounter beauty. After growing up, he roamed the streets of Paris with Monet, Bazille, and Degas, forming the Impressionist group that would later dominate art history. Back then, they were all penniless, ridiculed by the academic school, mocked by critics, and rejected by all galleries. Monet was anxious to blow up the world, Degas got angrier while scolding, and Bazille was as sad as a poet. Only Renoir, he was always smiling. His friends said he was foolish, sometimes unreasonably. But amidst this whirlwind of angry geniuses, Renoir was the one who would pat their shoulders and say, "Don't rush, add a little more light, the world will see." He was so poor, he only had money for paint, yet he never complained. His coat was as tattered as a fishing net, and he could still say with a smile, "The light is great today, I am going out to paint." What others saw as hardship, he saw as color. Renoir's colors weren't learned from technique books. A large part came from his love. He met a woman who changed his life, Aline. She first walked into his studio just to be a model. Sunlight fell on her dress, and he blurted out, "You have a warmth like dusk." Aileen looked at him. "I think you are a bit foolish." She was right. Renoir's foolishness was a nearly stubborn tenderness, a persistence to add a bit of light to the canvas, no matter how dark the world was. Together, they endured poverty, moving, and ridicule. Later, as Renoir gradually became famous, he said, "I've spent my life painting light, but the light only truly shone on me after she arrived." He painted countless beautiful women, but only Aline was the source of his colors. However, fate often adds a cruel stroke at the most brilliant moments. Renoir developed severe rheumatoid arthritis. His fingers began to deform, his bones like knots. The doctor told him, "You can't paint anymore." Renoir smiled. He had always been this stubborn. "My illness can hurt me enough to break the brush, but it can't stop me painting." Later, when he could no longer hold a brush, he tied it to his hand, not holding, but binding. The palette was fixed to the side of the table. He trembled all over in pain, but still gently dragged a line across the canvas. It is hard to imagine an old man in extreme pain, creating works that were softer, more fluid, and warmer than when he was young. Someone asked him, "Why did your later works become increasingly gentle?" In his pain, Renoir said something. "The whole world remembers. Pain will pass, but beauty will remain." Every time he finished a piece, he was as excited as a young man who had finally written a love letter. Once someone couldn't help but ask him, "You are in so much pain. Why do you still paint?" Renoir looked up, his eyes as bright as candlelight. "I must create beauty, because there is already too much ugliness in the world." This is not the answer of a painter. This is a creed. In winter 1919, the light outside the window was exceptionally gentle. He had his assistant move the easel to the window. By then, he'd been in a wheelchair for years, his fingers stiff as twigs. He said, "I want to paint flowers." Flowers were his favorite subject, soft blooming, and full of life's warmth. His assistant saw him tremble in pain and tried to stop him. Renoir shook his head. "Give me that small brush. The world is so bright, I don't want to miss it." That was the last painting of his life. A few days later, his breath faded away like the light. Renoir lived his life with a very rare attitude. The world may be gray, life may be bitter, the body may be in pain, but you can still add color to the world. His paintings are not grand or intense, nor meant to shock. They're gentle, radiant, like the good in real life. He quietly but firmly tells you that life's hardships will pass, but life's warmth is something you must create for yourself. The tenderness he exchanged for pain still brings tears to our eyes today.